How to get a powerful dose of motivation by tapping some darker feelings. That's what I call dark motivation. Now, I haven't heard this term before, so it's maybe new. Many are motivated by darker reasons. Now, depending what kind of podcast you've listened to, you may have heard something similar here. These are the reasons that I kind of like to think they lurk in the shadows a little bit. So I just want to be prepared here. This will get more painful as we go. Driven by strong, darker emotions. They evoke or trigger powerful feelings and they're often negative. They're drivers you don't often like to say out loud because sometimes you like to think, how are you going to be judged by saying this out loud? But don't be afraid, you're here with me, just say it out loud or write it down. You get to do it in your own space. Being stuck in exactly the same position in 10 years' time, how does that make you feel? If you change nothing and in 10 years to this day, you hadn't done anything, how would that make you feel? You feel like you're wasted potential in your own life. You've been told someone like you can't do it. Has anyone ever said that to you? You've been told you don't have what it takes. You've been told it can't be done. Whatever your ideas are, it can't be done. Maybe that doesn't sit well with you. You've been told you're not good enough. Or perhaps you've been laughed at for your ideas or simply being you because you've got unconventional ideas. How would you feel if you let these all be true? How would you feel if you proved these people right who said these things? How would you feel if you didn't even try? And that's sometimes quite a painful one. I mean, it was for me when I was talking about making content. I did have people sometimes say to me, I don't really see you being able to talk on camera and, say things like that. You're pretty quiet. You're not a really good presenter. Things like that. That's the kind of thing that really fires me up in a good way. Depending on what your own experiences, you see whether you have any of those dark motivating factors there. How would you feel if you did nothing and stayed where you are? What would you think of yourself? Would you be upset if you just did nothing, never even tried? What is the real consequence of doing nothing? Now, I remember this with when I opened my YouTube channel. I was, like I said, 2006 I started it, and I didn't put anything on there since then until 2018. So it was nearly 12 years. Things are going bad now. They'll only get worse. Can you live with that? How would it feel being stuck with these toxic people? Let's say you are with toxic people for years to come. How does it feel being trapped inside your own life right now? You're trapped now. It'll be harder every year going forward. Are you okay with that? This is an interesting one. Personal example, being a lifer. So I once had a boss, supervisor, who was a bit of a joker, a bit of a jester here. And he said to me, you're the type of person who'll be here for the next 10 years. You're a lifer. Now, this happened to me in the first few years of working there. And it was really painful to hear that. I can't really describe it. And I remember at the time, I just laughed it off like, ha, ha. But, it cut really deep. And I was lying in bed that night thinking, this is what he thinks of me. And he said it in this joking way, which nearly made it worse. Because it nearly sounded like factual for him. And that really kind of made me upset because I thought, no, I have the capability of being able to do more than this. So that was like a big driving factor for me. And I still remember that to this day. And that was over 15 years ago or so. Many don't like to believe this motivates, but answer it for yourself. Sometimes I think some of these situations are blessings in disguise. At the time, it's not nice to hear, but if you have had any of these experiences, sometimes they can really help you light these fires. And this is what I hear frequently from new clients. The feeling of your time is running out. Don't ignore it, because the reality is, unfortunately, time is ticking. I hear about this underlying pain simmering away from people. Now, I like to bring it up to the surface, because if it's there, you might as well bring it up and face it. Every day that passes, you are burning these opportunities. Now, hopefully, you can take these truths here. Otherwise, you might need to take a break here. Regret is a very, very painful experience. Really think about this. If you feel this is it, this can help motivate you. The reasons you don't move today will be the reasons you don't move tomorrow. Again, another harsh truth. And it's only going to get harder. You'll make the same excuses tomorrow. The longer you stay stuck, the harder it is to start moving. So imagine the scarecrow. The longer you've stayed there, the less mobile your joints are going to be, and the more stuck you're going to be. So it just gets harder. And unfortunately, I see that some clients who I've been, they've been feeling like this for 20, 30 years even. Getting them moving at that point, is honestly very difficult. It's possible because we've been able to do that, but it's so difficult because there's so many years of that accumulation of stagnancy. So here's a little piece from Tim Urban, Wait But Why. I absolutely love his stuff. And it's about life paths. So I've recreated it here and done my own version. So I want you to imagine this. You go through life and you've just ignored all of these life paths. So they are now closed because you can't make these anymore. So you're going along here. This is your past. These are the paths you've closed. And you're here. You've got all of these paths that you could take. And this could be your future. Any one of these. We don't know which one's going to work, but you've got this option. Or you could continue going down the same one. So you do. 1 year from now, all of these new life paths are now closed. And now you're here. And then what happens? We zoom out even more. 5 years from now, this is you saying the same thing. 10 years from now, and then end of life. You will be here. And especially the more you've accumulated this becomes more familiar. And what does your brain like? Familiarity. What does it not like? Unfamiliarity. So actually creating these new paths later on in life can become harder and harder. Another quick personal example. I remember I was working at on a weekend, and I was sitting in my boss's chair just for some random reason. I was kind of a bit delirious, and I was just spinning in it like this, right? And I thought, oh my goodness, in 10 years or 20 years, this is where I'm going to be if things go well, right? And I thought, is this it? Because he didn't look that happy. Now, that was quite painful. Again, some other people that doesn't resonate with. It may not be painful for you at all. I'm just using this as an example. It was for me, and I've heard this being resonant with a few other people. It's really painful for me. And just knowing that that's where I was going to be in 20 years, knowing how predictable that was going to be, and that I hadn't explored anything, that was very painful. Motivation stacking now. We got the carrot or stick, cheese or cat. You need to use whatever moves you. Now we're going to assemble this. We need to build up lots of reasons, push and pull, and then you stack them. This is what it looks like. You need to put reason, because this is what's going to go through your mind to help you do it. So you've got what your deep reasons add up to. It's still harder than you thought. Now we really crank it up. Really crank it up. We get up here. We got the reds. We can say these are the dark or negative motivation drivers, and the blue are the positive ones. So you use whatever drives you, the bear or the combination. And what it does, push and pull, it makes this smaller, makes this more tolerable.